And now we go ahead with another concept called as variables. Okay. I understand many of you are coming from programming background. You may feel, "Arey, kya chal raha hai?" And you may be thinking of leaving the meeting. Don't do that, because there are surprises in store for you now as we go ahead. Because one warning for those who come from programming background, don't try and always assume that I know it because this is how it worked in C, C++, Java, or some other language that you know. So I know it, and it must be the same thing over here. That was most of the time true when we talk about C, C++, .NET, Java. Certain things that you learned in one language, that was almost the same thing in other language as well. Python is different, and that will give you surprises. So maybe this is all repetition for you. You know this, you are well versed, you know it much better than what I'm discussing right now. Because Python, we do not dwell into details as to what's happening, but still there will be some surprises. So don't be in a hurry, don't make assumptions. Python is a new language, a new is different language. Explore it completely. When I tell you, there are some features I'll tell you which will surprise you, and you will feel, "Arey, aise kaise hota hai?" This should not be allowed, because it may not have been allowed in Java. That doesn't mean Python should not allow it. It's a different language, so you'll have to accept it's different, it's new. Okay, so variables are examples of identifiers. Now let me explain you what exactly do you mean by this particular concept. Now when we write some kind of operations, when we are carrying out some kind of operations, let's carry out some simple operation. Here I'm saying 2 plus 3. Okay, so this 5 plus 3 I said. So 5 plus 3 give you answer as 8. Okay, but these 5 and 3 were nothing but literals, were constants. And on this constant, your Python ka interpreter has carried out an operation of addition to give you answer as 8. I could have done this operation in a different way as well. I could have said x is equal to 5, y is equal to 3, and I could have said z is equal to x plus y. Okay. The good part of this is now I can reuse this x plus y, and if I print this value of z, I could have got same answer as 8. But tomorrow I could have said z is equal to x into y, and I got a different answer. So I am not required to type the values again, and value could have been large as well. Yes, Sairam, I am more than eager to show you what's happening in the background, but the philosophy of Python says, don't be bothered about how, just worry about what is happening. That's philosophy. But I just cannot hold myself back to explain you what's happening over here. Now, let's have a small review as to what has happened over here when I'm writing this kind of statement. X is equal to 5, y is equal to 3, what's actually happening over here. So when we are carrying out such kind of operation, there are certain things which are actually happening. So let me explain you how is it really working. So we have this value right now, and the value that we have is 5. The value that we have is 5. That has been stored into variable x. Now listen to me very carefully. Yeah? This value 5 must have been stored at some location in the memory. So there is some location where this value 5 has been stored. Is this diagram visible, everybody?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And there is this x. What is x? X is just an identifier which is referring to this location in the memory where this value 5 has been stored. Listen to what I'm saying. X is only an identifier which is referring to this location in the memory where this value 5 has been stored. Had it been a C programmer, he would have said, X is a name given to this location. Every language is different, so you have to respect it. So over here, X is an identifier that refers to some location where this value 5 has been stored. When I say y is equal to 3, what will happen? Somewhere in the memory, there is this value 3 will be stored. Somewhere in the memory. I'll tell you later where exactly in the memory. But then that day I will tell you that you all are expert programmers and we can dwell into details, and that's how we'll discuss. So it will not be that very simple. So there is some location where this value 3 has been stored, and y is referring to that location. So x and y are not variables, although we call them as variables. They are actually identifiers. They identify some location in the memory where this value has been stored. Now listen to my words. They identify this location in the memory. So if x is identifying this location in the memory, that means this location will have some number. There will be some number location. There will be some number. That means address, as we call them as. That means somewhere in the memory it is stored. Na? Suppose this value is stored at some location in the memory. Let's say this is stored at address number in the RAM, in the memory. It is stored at address 400. Suppose it is stored as address 400. So X is actually storing address 400. If this is stored as 500, if this is stored at address 500, Y is actually referring to address 500. So if I talk about X, X is actually storing 400. And if I talk about Y is actually storing address 500. Means it is referring to the value which is stored at that location. Now, so X actually holds value 400. Y actually is holding value 500. But what is 400? 400 is that location where value 5 has been stored. 500 is that location where value 3 has been stored. So X and Y are only identifiers. They identify the location. So X is identifying location 400 where value 5 has been stored. Y is identifying location 500 where value 3 has been stored. So they are identifiers. Now you may wonder, why am I talking about this so much? Reason for that is, remember we talked about there are 4 types of languages that are there. So this diagram that I'm actually coming up right now will actually help you over a period understand how does dynamic typing really work. So that's the reason I put across this diagram to you. So this is how it is. And when I said Z is equal to X plus Y, so when I in the program, whenever I use the term X or when I'm using the term Y, it actually doesn't give this address. It is referring to this address. On this address there is value 5. So this value 3 and 5 will get added. So X refers to this location, Y refer to this location, and whenever in the program you use this X and Y, it will not give the address of X and Y, it will actually give the value which is there at that address, 5 and 3. So 5 plus 3 will be now value as 8, and that 8 will be stored somewhere in the memory. Value will be stored somewhere in the memory now. This value will be stored, 8 will be stored somewhere in the memory. Suppose say this is 8. This 8 will be stored somewhere in the memory, and now Z will refer to the location memory where this value 8 has been stored. Till here everybody is okay? And in the program later when I said Z, what did I get? Not the address, the value that it refers to. Because Z refers to some address where some value is stored. So I'm getting that value. And what I got is the value. Whatever may be the value. 3 plus 5 I got, I over here answer as 8. So variables are examples of identifiers we said. Identifiers are nothing but name given to identify something which is stored in the memory. Because anything that is stored in the memory, and it can be anything. It can be code, it can be data, and anything that is stored in the memory will reside at some location in the memory, some byte, some place in the memory. So your identifiers will help you take to that location in the memory. So variable is a storage location in the computer program. So it identifies, refers to some location in the memory where some data has been stored, where some instructions have been stored. Listen to me, not just the data, even the code. But when I use the term variable, I am actually talking about some location in the memory where some data has been stored. When I use the term variable, each variable has a name and holds a value, that the value it represents. The first character of an identifier must be a letter, alphabet, uppercase or lowercase, or a Unicode character, or an underscore. So let me give you some examples. We said this identifiers, there are some naming conventions, how to give a name to this identifier. What kind of names can we give? So I want to create a variable. So I say Abhishek. His age, suppose, is 20. So I say age equal 20. Now this is a meaningful name that I have given, age, A-G-E. So I have created age. Then this fellow's name is equal to Abhishek. Okay. Excuse me if you are spelling, I misspell it. Okay. So I created a variable called as name. So I have created 2 identifiers. One is age. Age identifies that location memory where this value 20 has been stored. Name identifies that location memory where this Abhishek has been stored. Okay. And then later, any day, if I want to see what's the age, if I type in age, I got its value. So I'm not getting the address. And when I type something like name, I'll get the name, that is Abhishek. Are we getting that? But then age, I said is an identifier.
Yes, sir.
So if I said ID of age, I'll get to see that identifier also. This is the location where that age was stored. And if I say ID of name, I'll get to see that as well. That this is the location where Abhishek was stored. Okay, but are we really interested in these values? No, हमें तो इसमें interest है, Abhishek में interest है. We are interested in age. Why bother about what is happening in the background? Okay, but you can check it out. That option is available for us. ID. So I'm talking about these names. What names can I give you? I gave a name as age. I gave a name as age, and then a variable as a name. And I would like to store his height as well. So I could also start with underscore. I could say height is equal to his 5.9 inches. And then we stored it. And if I say underscore HEIGHT, I'll get his height as well. So this is also allowed. But then what more may be allowed? There is one more fellow. Abhishek के लिए तो आपने name में age नाम उसका store कर लिया. But there is one more fellow here in our Sai, and his name also wanted to store. And I want both fellows' name. So I could say name1 is equal to Abhi, and I could say name2 is equal to Sai. So I could create two variables, name1, name2. But point that I'm trying to put across is when I'm giving a name to an identifier, I can have alphabets, I can also have digits. That is what I'm to tell you. So it's not like name1 is of my interest. What can comprise a identifier? You can have underscore, you can have small case alphabets, you can have alphabets plus digits, numbers. Okay, and if I now print name1, comma name2, let's see what gets printed. Abhi and Sai, we got both the names. Okay, we could do that. But what is not allowed? Say Abhi's age was 20 and Sai's age was 21. So if I say one age is equal to 30, whatever it is, and if I try and do that, it says error. So although your name can contain digits, but digits cannot be the first letter. Your variable name should start with either an alphabet or an underscore. Somewhere we use an underscore or an underscore. Okay, but it cannot start with a digit. It cannot start with a digit. Digit can be placed anywhere later, but it cannot start with a digit. Okay, what else can be allowed? I say Abhishek has name, first name and surname. So I want to store his first name. So what else can I include his name? Let's say I say name $first. Is that right? Let's check it out. Okay, name $first is equal to ABHI. Is this a legal way to write it? Let's check it out. It says no. Dollar is also something which is not allowed. So we cannot use any special symbols. What we can use is underscore in between if I want to. So I want to say first name. So I could just say first underscore name is equal to Abhi. Okay, that's the first name. So I have stored the first name. And then if I want to print it, I could very well type it all again. First underscore name, and I'll get the name. I got the name exactly. So underscore can be used. Capital names letters can also be given. Okay, say max age that somebody lives. So I say max age. So max age that somebody is going to live is suppose 120 years. So I can very well write in capitals, max age. So max age is equal, I want to print. Okay, I want to print this max age. So I say max age, and what got printed is 120. But if I use max age as small, and if I say max underscore age, sorry, I mistyped. I say max underscore age is equal to 45. If that's what I write, I got max age. Let's check it out now and print both the age and see, is it the same variable or is it different? Max age and other is max underscore age. So two variables, one is in small case, other is in uppercase. And if I try and print this, these are two different things. What do you understand out of this? Variable names in Python, identifiers are case sensitive. Max age in small case is different than max age in uppercase. These are different. Because M for you is MO here. For the programming language, this is a different symbol and this is a different symbol. So both of them are age, but they are different variables. They are different identifiers. So we have created different identifiers, and each of this identifier will be referring to some location in the memory. So max age is referring to some location in the memory, and the location could have been this location in the memory where your age was stored. There are 45, whatever age that we are talking about that has been stored. Okay. Now, good thing about Python is I could use Devanagari characters, any other language also. I say y equal to 45. Okay, I could do that. Okay, sorry, 45 English chahiye. Letters can be used. I can say y is equal to 45. Okay, let's run it. And I want to check what's my y. So I check what's my y. And I run. Again, y is equal to 45. Good. So those who want to write code in your vernacular language, you can actually do that. And you can have variables with upper lit characters and small characters combination as well. So we can have Devanagari, we can have upper and small case character as well. Like I said, max underscore age. Oh, now this was weird. Huh? Never do this. Huh? Two different languages, script, that's very bad. So, but I say max underscore age, okay, is equal to 455. And we can have any combination. Look at this. I said max M and A, M capitals, A capital, allowed. You can have any combination. Point is, you can have different scripts as well. Not necessarily it has to be only English. You could use in any language. So we use Devanagari. We also use Russian. I have some keyboards that I have already installed. So I can demonstrate in some languages. What can it comprise of? It can comprise of alphabets, small case, upper case. It can comprise of digits. It can have an underscore. Only digits are not allowed. Okay, I cannot have some variable name as 2323 is equal to something like this. Now that's not right. Okay, that's not right. Only digits are not allowed. Can I start with underscore and only digit? Underscore 45 is equal to 57. Is that allowed? Okay, and then what is underscore 45? Underscore 45 is 67. Okay, that's okay. But that's so very wrong. Nah? Does it convey any meaning for us? No. So variable name should be meaningful. Your variable name should also be meaningful. So I said variables is a storage location in the computer program. Each variable has a name that holds a value. Okay. And first letter of identifier must be a letter, alphabet. It can be lowercase, uppercase. It can be Unicode. Unicode means any script across the globe, Chinese and Japanese. If you know that, you could type that name as well. And it could also start with an underscore. Variable name is defined the first time it is assigned a value. That means in like other languages, you do not have to predefine the variable name. Say, one rule I forgot to tell you. If I am creating a variable like first name, I can define that first name. Oh, I need to change my keyboard from Russian. Let me come back to English. So if I'm saying first underscore name is equal to Abhi, that's okay. I can say, don't worry about the spelling mistake. I could say first, this is camel case, lower camel case. Lower camel case because first letter is small and every other letter of the next word is capital. First name is equal to Abhi. Okay, that's also okay. I can use upper camel case. Every word's first letter is uppercase. That's also okay. What I cannot use is this. First space name is equal to something. Now that's invalid. Not because I wrote HD here. Your variable name cannot contain spaces. That's an error. Your variable name cannot have spaces. Embedded spaces are not allowed. You have to join them, join it with underscore, or use this lower camel case concept, or use this upper camel case concept. No spaces allowed. Variable name cannot contain spaces. The equal sign is used to assign a value. So from the right hand side to the left hand side, we assign a value. When I said age equal to 45, 45 is assigned to variable age, logically. And what actually happens is age is referring to the location where 45 has been stored. Afterwards, no result is displayed before the next interactive prompt. And if you want to have the value, you'll have to type the value. So I create a variable width, I create a variable height, and I want to calculate the area. I say width into height or whatever it is, I get the answer and so on. The value can be assigned to several variables simultaneously. That's interesting in Python. Watch this. I can assign values variable simultaneously. So there are some variables that I have. There is variable n1 and then there is variable n2, correct? Or I say n1 is equal to n2 is equal to n3 is equal to 500. Okay, let's see what happens. I stored it. Let's print what's the value of n1, what's value of n2, and what's value of n3. So if I check it out, all of them are having the same value as 500. So you can assign more than one variable's value simultaneously. Okay, you could assign 0, you could assign any other value. Right now we assign some value to a variable. In interactive mode, the last printed value, you can get it by a variable called as underscore. Watch this. I would like to calculate area of a square. Okay. Or area of a rectangle. Now quickly tell me what's the area of a rectangle? What's the formula for area of a rectangle?
Length into breadth.
Length into breadth. So I say LENGTH, length is equal to suppose 20. And then BREDTH, breadth is equal to 15. So we have such a rectangle, or suppose the breadth is equal to 50. Okay. And then I want to calculate an area. And I say area, excuse me if my spellings are wrong, length into breadth. And I run this particular code and I want to print area. So I say area. It's a simple calculation that I've done. I've created some variables and I got the area. Area is 1000. Okay, fine. Now I wanted to add some value to this area. There are two choices. What I could do, I could say I want to increase this area by another 20. So I say area plus 20. Correct? I'm saying area plus 20 and I run this particular code. I got answer as 1020. Watch it. Now I run this code once again. I got again answer as 1000. I take this again, I copy it suppose, and I paste it over here. I got answer as area. If I print, I got answer as 1000. So last answer for me was 1000. For some reason, I want to use the last answer. I can only say underscore plus 20. So underscore always represent the last answer. So whatever is the result, last answer, that can be represented by underscore. And I will show you to here as well. Say, I now say x into y. X into y answer is 50. But did I store 15 into variable z? Had I stored z is equal to x into y, I could reuse that value. Z, I can get the answer z is many number of times, correct? Suppose we also had x plus y. I said x plus y. I got answer as 8. How can I reuse it? I lost it because I did not assign the answer to some variable. So the answer was displayed and the answer is lost. Anytime you want to have the result of the last expression, just say underscore. Underscore gives you result of the last expression. So I say underscore plus 10. So it is nothing but 8 plus 10 and that's answer is 18. I hope everybody's understood this concept of underscore. Suppose we are doing some calculation and calculation was you want to calculate some kind of tax or something like that, correct? So in that case, we carry out some operation and on that you have to pay some tax. Say you have some product that you have purchased. Okay, so you have the purchase amount, purchase the price. Suppose I say there is a product whose price is 100 rupees and you have purchased that product, you have quantity, you have purchased 5 items of each with price 100 rupees, correct? So what's the total bill amount? The bill amount would be your price into quantity. That's 500 rupees. No, that's not right. You are supposed to pay 10% tax on this amount as well. But then where I did not calculate it. I have this gross bill amount and I want this amount on which I have to pay 10% tax. So the amount should have been something more. I could say underscore. Underscore will give you the last value 500. I'll say into 1.10. Now, if I do that, I had to pay 550. 50 rupees was 10% on 500. 10% on 500, 100, 10, 10, 10, 10. So 550 was the amount that I had to pay. So I could do something like this, underscore. So I got the amount payable. This was the price of the product that you have purchased, but 10% was the tax. So I multiplied it and I got the answer. So underscore was the last value that we had got. So that's how you can use this underscore. So I want you to just try it out, all these things that we are saying. Try it in Jupyter, try it on Notepad, the Python prompt. I want you to try it at both the places. So while you're carrying out such kind of operations, you get some kind of results. At times, suppose if I say 45 divided by 7, okay, I got such, array, I don't want answer to be so precise. Okay, so say you have, now the exams are just over. Somebody has secured 576 marks, and that was out of 600. So I say divided by 600. So I got 0.96. No. 0.96. Suppose it was out of 650. It was out of 650. He secured some. It was 88 point something. Okay, so I had to do the calculation. So I say into 100. So even if I do that, that 88 point, if somebody asks you what's your percentage mark, is this how you're going to tell me? I secured 88.61538461538461, that kind of percentage. No, for all practical purpose, you like to round it up. Now this is the last answer that we had got, and I want to have the same answer which I want to round it up. Python gives you a command called as round, and I'll say underscore. Underscore was the last answer that we had, and I say round it up to 2-digit precision, and that's far better, 88.62. So this underscore represented the last answer. I'm saying that whatever the last answer, rounded it up to 2-digit precision. I'm calling a method called as round, a function called as round, built-in function. Directly start using it, and it has rounded the answer up to 2-digit precision. Look at, truncate nahi kiya, it did not cut, it rounded. 6-2 kar diya, 6-1. This was 5, so it has rounded up to the next number, and that's how it has rounded up the value, and you have got the answer. Thank you all. So we stop here today, and we continue with a further discussion. Next session is again going to be a deep dive into some advanced concepts.